Alright, welcome back to my Let's Play of Geneforge 2, here on my channel, Idle Wisdom. We are here in front of the Drypeak Warrens. Last episode, we explored around town a bit. We talked to a bunch of shopkeepers, got a bunch of requests and, that we said we would help with. We met someone who was a spy who said he was working for the people who considered Drypeak to be their enemies. We talked to the keeper of the serviles, and she's been having some issues with the serviles. And there's some serviles that are apparently lost in the mines that are in danger of being eaten by rogues. And what have you. But right now we need to follow Shanti into the warren. Are these guards going to say anything different? No. Same thing as everyone else. Drypeak Warrens. Oh, look, here. Now, if you watched my Let's Play of Geneforge 1, you remember turrets. This is a submission turret, so that's very powerful. But look the turrets look different than they did in the first game. This is what turrets basically look like for the rest of the Geneforge series. You enter the Drypeak Warrens. They would have been the first installation built when the Shapers started to settle this area. It was here that all the life forms that settled this area were created. The entry hall is guarded by turrets. These immobile, fleshy creatures are created by Shapers and can shoot vicious thorns at enemies or intruders with a remarkable rate. Considering how miserable and poor this area is, this warren is surprisingly well maintained. If you walk further in, you should meet Zakary, and half your mission here will be complete. How naive. Yeah, this place looks so much nicer than outside. Cloakroom. Cloakroom. Shedding or loosely controlled creations must be shackled securely here. Are you shedding on Flametooth? Flametooth is not shedding. His scales are very well maintained. Thank you very much. You see, it's like those posts with the manacles, shackles, for, it would be like, like an animal, like this. And yet they put those serviles out there in the sun. I don't know. I don't think Lucian likes that too much. This elite warrior. You make some small talk with the guard, but you learn nothing interesting. Well, that's something. Elite warrior. Wow. That must be a guard room. Okay, let's see if we can find Shanti. We need to... She's probably going to be mad at us for taking so darn long, even though she told us to to take a look around town. Greeting chamber to the north. Ah, there he is. Where is that apprentice? You finally come face to face with Zakary, the leader of the settlement of Drypeak. He's old and tired. He stands hunched over, and his skin is dry and wrinkled, and his hand shakes slightly. He looks like you would expect for someone who's been leading a battered, failing colony. You're surprised, however, by the number of guards he has around him, both guardians and turrets. He is prepared for a considerable assault. When you approach, both he and Shanti turn to face you. Now that my apprentice is here, Shanti says, we can begin our meeting. Shanti presents a scroll to Zakary. Here are my orders, fellow Shaper. I've been sent by the council to find you and Barzahl about this colony's progress and future. I hope this will not cause you much trouble. And Zakary shakes his head. The news, as you can see, is bleak. Barzahl is dead. The colony is still failing. But I believe with work it can be successful. That is all. You can return to the council with that news. And there's a long silence. So, he says Barzahl is dead as well. Let's see what happens. Shanti says, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry to hear about Barzahl. However, I need more information than that to return to my superiors. I assume I am free to explore? I would be pleased if you would, Zakary says. He clearly doesn't mean it. And since the area is dangerous, I will make sure my guards escort you for your own safety. I have also made quarters for you in Drypeak, near the road out. Shanti says, "Then I will rest and begin my exploration soon. Thank you for your help." And they bow to each other, and Shanti starts to leave. As she passes you, she leans close and says, "Well, that was useless. The people are hiding something. Look around and come meet me in our quarters. They're at the south end of town." And then she leaves. As she does, you notice that Zakary exhales with relief. He was nervous. More submission turrets. Let's see. I long to help. Go where you want. Oh, thanks. He's a beefy dude as well. Look at that. 641 hit points. Let's talk to him. Zakary. When you get a closer look, you see that Zachary's even older and more shaky than you thought. His time in Drypeak has clearly exacted a horrible price on him. However, you have learned that it is always deadly to underestimate a Shaper. This man contains great power, and even if he didn't, he is surrounded by powerful guards. You will have to be on your guard. Greetings, apprentice. I am sure most of my business is with your master, but if there are any little questions you'd like to ask, I wish to be nothing but helpful. Little questions? Let's see, do you have a copy of Mary Had a Little Lamb I could read? I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. Can you tell me how you came to Drypeak? It was about 5 years ago. Barzahl and I were looking for a failing colony. We were ambitious. We thought we could use our skills to create new successful life forms. We thought we could do what others couldn't. I was aging, and I was eager to gain the acclaim I had failed to achieve earlier, and we failed. That is really the only story for you to take home. Huh. Well, where were you in Barzahl before you came here? For some reason, this question catches Zakary off guard, and he looks at you trying to figure out what you know. Then he says simply, "We were doing some exploring, catching rogues, agent work, I know, but we were needed. More than that, I cannot say. My orders were to keep quiet." Well, surely you want to cooperate with our investigation? Do you want us telling our superiors you didn't help? What's Lucian saying? I cannot say. Period. Now you should leave me. I have actual work to do. Lucian was seeing if he could bully him. Well, our orders are to meet both you and Barzahl, and you say Barzahl is dead. Yes. We had left town to perform some experiments a safe distance away. One went wrong and he was killed. If it was possible for you to speak to him, believe me, you would, but it isn't, and that is that. Where's his body? Eaten. The failed experiment involved modifying a thought. We tried to make a stronger laborer. The creature went mad and struck Barzahl down, and then dragged him off and probably ate him. And it wouldn't have been safer to perform the experiment here? Isn't that what this hall was made for in the first place? I mean, you can seal a shaping hall off if the experiment goes wrong, and there's lots of powerful soldiers here. Zakary is very annoyed. Perhaps an apprentice such as yourself should not question the wisdom of a full shaper. You have a lot to learn. And you notice that this was not actually an answer to the question. I mean, he wishes nothing but to help. Okay. Well, can you provide me with any supplies or training then? I mean, if we're going to be searching around and exploring. It is, of course, my responsibility to provide you with lodging. You will find quarters for you by the south wall of Drypeak. However, we have no extra supplies to provide. The rogue attacks. I'm sure you understand. As for training, locate Tialia. He is a shaper deeper in the Warrens. He can provide you with some training for a modest price. Okay, that's useful. Okay, what about these rogues that are attacking? This is very strange. It's a minor concern. There are a handful of rogues, probably wandered off some other colony. We will handle them with ease. This region tends to make creations go mad easily. It's hostile, and it upsets them. It is troublesome, especially when it happens to our serviles, but we deal with them quickly. Okay. Well, I've seen quite a few rogues. Surely it is not a small problem. I can see why they would bother an apprentice such as yourself. But such problems are minor. We will dispatch our enemies in no time. You will learn not to be troubled by rogues. With age comes wisdom. Huh, everything we're taught tells us that rogues are a huge problem, and Shanti acted like seeing even a couple rogues was a big deal. Yeah, maybe he's older than Shanti too, but I don't know. Everyone in town seems to be worried about it. Well, what happens when your serviles have problems? How do you deal with them? How do you deal with any rogue? Punishment if valuable, destruction if not. Do not let yourself become too attached to serviles. It's a bad habit shapers sometimes pick up. So here's another one of those questions. Well, I understand. I have seen how dangerous rogues of all sorts can be. They must be dealt with. Alright, but don't we have some responsibility to our creations? Is it not right to be kind to them? I mean, if they're valuable, sure, maybe if like a thought is wrong, you can put it down, but a servile, they're just little guys and they're so helpful. And besides, they're like almost intelligent. Don't we have some responsibility? I mean, we make them. It's like having a pet. You're responsible for your pet. But they're more than pets. Every shaper is allowed to voice such sentiments a few times when young, but such ideas are best left to youth, or you may find life to be very difficult. Alright. Thank you. He's like, ugh. A little bleeding heart apprentice with a pet Fiora. It's not your pet. It's just a useful tool. But it's my pet Flametooth. He's my buddy. Creations aren't your buddy. Okay, this says Guardian Quarters North. No unauthorized entry. Oh, here's a... I think... Is that a Guardian? Quit walking around. Nora. The commander of the Warren Guards is patrolling the halls. She is a Guardian, and her armor is still in good shape. You would guess that she came to Drypeak recently. She nods to you, though she's not happy to see you. I am Nora, a Guardian of the Warren. We welcome you, and we will give you all the assistance you are due. I'm not sure what that means now. Okay. Let's see. I need some information on what has been happening here. I see. I am loyal to Zakary, and all I have to tell you is exactly what Zakary says. So you should just talk to Zakary. Fair enough, but if you could give me some special information, things might go better for you in the future. What does Lucian think? He's trying to bully Nora now. I said it, and I'll say it again. I am loyal to my master, and I have nothing else to say to you. Do what you will. She turns away. Let's change tactics. What about the rogues that have been attacking you? What can you tell me about them? It's a minor problem, and we will handle them on our own without outsider help. You should stay very close to Drypeak, though, for your own safety. Do not try to help us. That's weird. You are refusing the aid of a shaper when fighting creations? Is that wise? A shaper apprentice, you mean? Well, there are a lot of rogues, and when we kill some, more appear. If you can find out where the new ones are coming from, I would appreciate it. But do not look for a reward. Our resources are limited. Okay. So that seems to be something that we've heard a couple times, that they just keep on appearing. Now, if you played Geneforge 1 or if you watched my Let's Play of it, you might have a suspicion. Let's see. The supplies, we're not going to get supplies from them. So let's ask, what's past the blocked doors? Only guard quarters, nothing of importance. We'll leave it alone. Those submission turrets will kill us so easily it's not even funny if we try to do something stupid. Not to mention that Guardian. She could kill us so... What the hell are you gentlemen doing? They're dancing. Maybe they're listening like that. Dagoth wave. Look upon the heart. Upon the heart. Oh, here's a essence pool and a healing pool. And this must be that shaper Tialia. Tialia. This man is instantly recognizable as a research shaper. The filthy and torn robes, the burns, the nervousness which springs from the constant fear of being eaten by an experiment misfire. All the clear signs. He seems uncomfortable that you have found him back here, but he's still polite. I am Tialia. Welcome to Drypeak Research Labs. How long have you been a researcher here? Years. Years and years and years. Far before Zakary arrived. Remember that. Long before. Before Zakary arrived? What does that have to do with it? I just thought it would be useful information. It is, perhaps, a bit odd. How has the research for good life forms to populate this area been going? It hasn't. We've had too many problems as it is. Because of the rogue attacks. Alright. So you guys aren't accomplishing anything. What, can you give me any training? Yes, Shaper. Zakary has told me to be helpful. Would you like to learn about spells or creations? So here's our first trainer. So, unlike Geneforge 1, where the only source of spells or shaping abilities was from, in general at least, the what do you call it? Those canisters. In Geneforge 2, there also are trainers. So let's see what spells he has. Oh, we can improve our firebolt spell. Oh, here, this is important. Tialia can teach you how to cast several spells. Even though it's not exclusively a shaper art, magic can still be very useful. You can't buy more than 2 levels of a spell. Yeah, there's basically, you can only buy up to 2 levels, and then if you want to improve it again, you have to then get a canister or a quest reward. But here's the thing: there's a flaw in Geneforge 2, in as much as, say you go and you can only purchase 2 levels of a spell or an ability, a shaping ability, if it's the first 2 levels of the ability that you have. So you can only get levels 1 and 2 from purchasing. Then you can learn it with a canister the 3rd level. But say you got a canister and then tried to buy the other 2 levels, you would only be able to buy 1 level. You wouldn't be able to buy the 3rd level. You can never buy level 3 or higher from a trainer. So because of that sort of bug or flaw or in this game, you need to make sure you buy 2 levels of whatever spell or ability you want before you go get other levels of it by other means. So let's see. We can get lots of good stuff here though. So we could get Firebolts. We could level up our Firebolt spell. Burning Spray, which is an acid spell I think, or poison or whatever. Daze, which is really good. Mental Barrier. War Blessing, which is always nice. Protection. Minor Heal. And Cure Effects. Let's see. I think maybe we should... Let's actually look what else he offers. Let's see what shaping. So he can teach how to make several of the weaker creations. Things are much more casual out here than... Things are much more casual out here in the wilderness. Again, the same thing applies to these skills. So he teaches Fiora, Thought, and Artilla. We don't have enough money to increase our abilities with any of these. Where can we learn more spells than just this? I'm not sure. However, I do know that there are loyal shapers hiding out past the pass to the west. Look for the loyal ones. They may be able to help you. Well, that's an odd thing. Loyal ones? What are you talking about? They're unloyal shapers? What are you... Although, maybe that's what those people that Zaf works for. Okay, let's see. Another question. Let's see. Training. Let's look at spells. Maybe we should let's get a level of the Cure Effects, which is a healing, curing, poison and what have you. Maybe we'll get that. And War Blessing. Let's get another level of Firebolt and Minor Heal. Alright. That's going to use up pretty much all our money, but, you know, whatever. That's fine. Now, back here is a shaping hall, where shapers concentrate on remaking living things to suit their purposes. Such research usually takes the form of taking a live creation and doing something magical to it. Something magical! If it makes the creature better or stronger, they remember what they did. If it has the opposite effect, they don't do that again. It is a crude method, but it works. If the shapers ever figured out how to modify a living thing precisely, it would be a major advancement. Okay, so basically, if you recall Geneforge 1, that advancement was achieved on Susha Island, but these people don't have that information, so apparently they're just using that old shaper, you know, trial and error method. This hall shows the signs of heavy use. Booted feet have worn tracks in the floor. Many experiments have taken place here. From the looks of the desolate landscape outside, those efforts have been futile. There are several alcoves in the walls used to hold creations before they are used for experiments or sent to do jobs. Oh, look at these. Battle alphas. This hulking creature is a battle alpha. These creatures are the favored shock troops of the Shaper forces. They're huge, strong, brutal. They also communicate primarily through grunts, growls, and gurgles. They are not a reliable source of good conversation. Alright. And back here. You know what? Maybe we'll come back another time. That looks dangerous. Let's not, you know, go back there right now. If there's some sort of nasty surprise, we have 14 hit points. Basically, a paper cut could end us. Let's see what's down here, though. Alright. Storage halls east, tool breeding to the south. Now let's go look at the tool breeding area. There's one of those living doors. One thing that sets Shapers apart from everyone else is the way all their tools are bred and grown, not made. This room is one such breeding hall. Here, living tools, batons, and thorns are being grown to serve the needs of the colony. The tool breeding stock is very well guarded. To lose the ability to grow more batons and tools is a major blow to any Shaper colony. Who are you? Jess. You meet the woman who's in charge of breeding the tools. She looks like a mage, not an actual Shaper. This is very unusual. It is very unusual for an outsider to be given such a close access to Shaper equipment. Things are very different out here in the wilderness. She smiles and nods. I'm Jess. Welcome to my little workshop. Are you in need of supplies? Well, actually, do you know anything? What do you know about everything that's been happening lately? Nothing, Shaper. I'm not of your kind. They let me work here, and it is interesting work, but I know nothing of events. That makes sense. You believe her. Is Lucian being a bit naive, or do you think that he just basically figures that since they probably keep the information from her? I don't know. How about some supplies? Jess has a limited quantity of carefully bred Shaper equipment. It takes a lot of skill to get these tools to reproduce. Put on some romantic music. Alright, she has bunches of thorns, some living tools, fire wands, spray crystals. Maybe we'll come back later. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Now look, there's the living tools and batons that are growing and breeding, I guess. What's in here? No, let's not. Let's not open that up. Let's not cause problems right now. If later we need to cause problems, we will. This dank, chilly network of rooms contains the supplies for the Warren. There may be something useful to be found back here, but not much. The colony was poor to start with, and the arrival of the rogues only made a bad situation worse. We'll just take a quick gander. Oh wow, there's a bunch of guards. And here's some cabinets. There's some more guards. Let's not steal anything. Some water. Anything of note? No? What's over here? Anything that we can... And living tools 3 needed. Let's not do that. And more supplies. Whoop-de-doo! More supplies. How about over here? And more supplies. And it looks like firewood. Maybe, I don't know. Alright, well, that's interesting. Not really. Let's go over here. Hi, Zakary. Bye, Zakary. You jerk. You jackass. This just looks like probably barracks again. Eh, well, whatever. Let's get going. We'll be back because, one, we need to get more training from that dude Tialia when we have more money. So let's go back and find Shanti. Zakary did not seem very cooperative, and when asked a few probing questions, he started to get upset. I wonder if Barzahl actually is dead. Or what if Barzahl ran off? This home was provided so that you would have a place to stay. Something is not right here. Shanti has settled into the quarters provided for you. Well, settled isn't the right word. She looks ready to leave and explore at any moment, probably when the guards aren't looking. When you approach, she places her hand on her necklace and starts to think. We have a problem. A real problem. My orders tell us to find Barzahl. I do not believe he is dead. I think we're being lied to. I'm going to sneak out and investigate when I can, but I'm being watched closely. You, on the other hand, are an apprentice. They do not take you seriously. You can go where I can't. Explore the valley and see what you can find. When you learn something interesting, report back to me. Alright. Derp derp. Have you been able to sneak? So you haven't been able to sneak out and do any investigating yet? Not yet. Zakary has offered to give me an escort of guards whenever I go out anywhere. The offer is not optional, it appears, so I will need to watch for opportunities to slip out. Well, why don't you just leave and tell the guards to stay? Can't you command them? Shanti smiles and shakes her head. Time for more learning, apprentice. In theory, I have great authority here. In practice, we are far from home. We are alone here. This area is dangerous and full of rogues. And if Zakary were to feel threatened by us, it would be very easy for us to have an unfortunate accident. Remember that. There are laws, and there are the ways the laws actually work out. Fortunately, Zakary has limited forces, so he can't spare soldiers to watch both me and you. And they have underestimated what you are capable of doing. We must use that to learn the truth. I think it's the first time that... But is that a compliment or not? You know, it's like, well, you know, you're a pathetic little apprentice, so no one takes you seriously, so you're good for something finally. Who knows? Is there any more training or skills you can give me? In a word, no. Unfortunately, before we left, I was told specifically what skills I can teach you, and I have done so. The Shaper laws are very, very strict on what secrets can be taught. Some flexibility would be useful here, but alas, there is none. However, in our bedroom, I have left a book for you. Some theory on how we Shapers do what we do might be instructive. Also in Zakary's hall, there are people who can teach you some simpler spells for a price. You should take advantage of that. Alright. That's that guy, Tialia. What else can you teach me about the Shapers? Our ways are mysterious and complex. Our powers are great. Little by little, we will remake the world, filling it with life and making it lush and wonderful. Some outsiders, believe it or not, question our wisdom. They think that the ability to create life might be misused and might create horrors beyond imagining. I mean, I guess if someone was undisciplined, I suppose, but Shapers are taught to be disciplined. Others question our right to control what we make absolutely. Some even have sympathy for the serviles, not realizing how happy we make those creatures. You must learn in time never to question the wisdom of our kind. Now, here's the thing. You can say, you agree with her, you speak the truth. The Shapers are right to have the mastery over what we create. Or we can say, I'm unsure. I have my doubts about whether our control over our creation should be so total. I mean, question is, I don't think Lucian really agrees with this, because he doesn't like the control they have of him. I mean, when he first joined the Shapers, when he was inducted into it, he thought it would be something really great, sort of a brotherhood, a camaraderie. But instead, it's been just this sort of elitist meritocracy, where all the the crap rolls downhill and everyone abuses those beneath them, and that then you earn your place up, and then you finally join these ranks. But then he saw supposedly equals Shanti and Zakary, and obviously there was no camaraderie there either. And then the way that they treat the creations, the animal creations, I don't know, he hasn't made up his mind there. But the serviles, I don't know. So she's like, what are you thinking? Well, I guess I'm unsure. I have my doubts sometimes whether our control over our creation should be so total. Shanti smiles sadly. All come to feel that way early on. Sometimes, even Shapers can have misplaced sympathy for the serviles and other creations. You will find with time and concentration that such doubts will fade. You need to make sure that you should be sure to make it fade, apprentice. You have a life of great power and influence ahead of you in time. You can help reshape the world, but only if you are loyal, truly loyal. By the way, when you are asked questions about your opinions, be careful. This region is small and word gets around, and you will find that your beliefs will affect who will deal with you and how. That is exactly the truth. And it's interesting, I mean, the sort of the Shaper project that she mentions, the Shaper's idea is to, their propaganda, and maybe it is what they're trying to do, is to remake the entirety of the world and to make it this lush, green, prosperous paradise. And the way they see it able to be accomplished is through the strict regimen and, absolute caste system, or, how would you say, absolute class system, in which, the Shapers have all the power and all the responsibility, and everyone else is tiered at various levels below them. Alright, let's see. I have another question. Let's tell her about that spy. That guy was a weirdo, but, I met a spy named Zaf, and he said he was spying on Drypeak for some enemies. Interesting. We just got a level. I suspected Drypeak had enemies. After all, the rogues had to come from somewhere. But these unknown forces are far stronger and more organized than we expected. Keep finding out more. Alright, cool. We got 70 experience for it, and we got level 3, and we have 5 more skill points. Let's go in here. And here's our bedroom. Here. You, get in here. Actually, you. Let's shut our door, because I think we are going to call this episode. But first, Alright, cool. So yes, this is our home base for now. Our house here in Drypeak. Whether we stay here using this as our main base or not will depend on where we go, what we do. But for now, this is home sweet home. So I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of my Let's Play of Geneforge 2 here on my channel, Idle Wisdom. Take care, y'all.